Move on here, going to the Panthers against the Patriots. It's another interesting game here, as Panthers they really struggled last week against the Saints. Can they do that again? Can they do better against a Patriots team that their defense has been pretty struggling so far this year?
Yeah, simply no way. Like, if there was a chance for their offense to get back on track, it had to be against the Saints, and they just looked so bad. Like, I'm not sure how this offense is going to do the rest of the year. Cam Newton, he's wild, he's inaccurate, he's more of a runner than a passer, and they're just not going to be able to keep up with the Patriots scoring wise. So for me this week, I got the Patriots beating the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. Cam Newton's been very disappointing for me so far this year. He just hasn't looked like the same guy that we saw in 2015, where he was just balling out every single week. Basically, he looks like a shell of himself right now. I don't think it doesn't do any favors going up against Bill Belichick and that defense. And not so quietly, Tom Brady looks like an MVP again. By the way, he's still playing well at 40 years old, which is just mind blowing to think about. So I got Patriots in this one.
Yeah, Tom's still dominating, but moving on to the next matchup, we got the Jags versus the Jets. One thing I'm looking forward to is, can the Jets actually go on a winning streak this season? I mean, that would just be insane.
Yeah, I mean, who would believe that the Jets, who we both predicted would go 0-16, will go on a winning streak this early on in the season? It's the NFL. Anything can happen. For me, I look for this Jaguars team, who a lot of people thought that they might not do well this year. Their defense has looked very good this year, and honestly, I think they're legit. I think they have a legitimately very good defense. They're at least top 10 in my mind. They've been playing like an elite defense so far this season. It all starts off up front with Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, all the guys they have up front there. Miles Jack as a linebacker for them, and their secondary is stacked as well. I mean, they're just a loaded defense right now.
Yeah, two of the best young corners in the game, and A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey. For me, another thing that's going to be important to watch is, can the Jets be able to slow down Leonard Fournette like they were able to for Jay Ajayi last week? Now, Leonard Fournette, he's had a lot of tough matchups early on in his NFL career. Now, this is another tough one versus a really good Jets front four.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I like Fournette in that matchup. I think the Jags, they've kind of established an identity with their running game there. And if Bortles can continue to play like he did last week, I mean, this team could be, pretty good in the AFC here. So I'm going to take the Jaguars in this one. I think that Jets game might have been a fluke for them last week, so I'm not taking them quite yet.
Yeah, that Jags defense is too good. I also have the Jaguars in this game.
Let's go to the NFC here for an NFC West showdown between the 49ers and the Cardinals. For me, it all starts with the 49ers pass rush. Can they disrupt Carson Palmer and this Cardinals offense that really just hasn't really gone off to a good start with David Johnson out so far?
Yeah, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than most people think. The 49ers, finally, their offense got clicking last week, and that front four is really good for 49ers. If they're able to get lots of pressure on an old quarterback, Carson Palmer, who's not very mobile, they could cause a lot of turnovers and kind of keep this a low-scoring game. If they're able to keep the Cardinals under 20 points, this is a potential upset for the 49ers. But ultimately, the Cardinals, they're still trying to make the playoffs, and I think they have to win this game, so I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals on this one.
Yeah, for me, I'm going with the 49ers in this one. I just don't trust Carson Palmer at all. He hasn't proven to me at all that he can really manage this offense without David Johnson there to really help take that load off him. And, Brian Hoyer played really well last week for the 49ers against the Rams. I think they'll take some of that momentum to this game where the Cardinals defense, they are a pretty good defense, but I think there are some holes in that defense that they can't exploit with Kyle Shanahan and that, offensive mind that he has. So I'm going to go with the 49ers in an upset for this one.
Yeah, moving on to the next matchup, we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the LA Chargers. Andrew, what's one thing you're looking forward to in this game?
Well, I think this will be a very close game. I think the Chargers are a very underrated team. Like I said, they're the most talented, best, bad team in football. And for me, I mean, can they just finish a game, please? I mean, we all know it's going to be a close game going down to the wire. I mean, can they please win a close game? That's all I'm asking here. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. Every week, it's like they find some way to lose. I can't believe it. I just can't fathom how they can do this every week.
And I think that's going to continue. I think the Chargers are going to find another new way to lose a close game one thing I'm going to be looking out for is can the Eagles front four be able to slow down, Phillip Rivers and Melvin Gordon, and the Chargers offensive line, they're not really that good. So I think this is a game where the Eagles defense can really steal the show and slow down Rivers, get a lot of sacks at him, cause lots of pressure. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to watching.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go opposite here. The Chargers pass rushers, what can they do against the Eagles? Can they slow down, led by Joey Bosa, a Chargers pass rushing grid that looks very good. This is a very young, exciting defense. And you know what? I have to go with the Chargers on this one. Phillip Rivers is my boy, man. I mean, I just like the way he throws that ball. He slings it around, and, it's got that weird sidearm action, and it works for him, and I think it'll work for a good W for the Chargers here. I just want to see them winning close game here, or any game, really. I mean, they're the most talented bad team in football. It blows my mind.
You talk about the Chargers pass rusher, so you got to mention Melvin Ingram, who's on an absolute tear this year. So I want to give him credit where credit is due. But for me in this matchup, I got to go with the Eagles. I think that offense is just a little too high-powered for the Chargers defense, especially after losing one of their better coverage guys in Jason Verrett for the year. That's a big loss for them. I think the Eagles are able to exploit that. I think they'll be able to go on a road and steal a game, and the Chargers are going to find another way to lose a close game.
Well, speaking of teams that find ways to lose games, let's talk about the Giants here going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How the Buccaneers bounce back where they got shredded last week by Case Keenum, of all people. Case Keenum. We already talked about it. He had a really good week last week. I mean, how did the Buccaneers come back from that?
The Buccaneers made Casey Keenum look like Tom Brady, and that's got to be the most embarrassing thing ever. This Buccaneers secondary has been a big question mark going into this season, and they simply just need to play better. I mean, they got Vernon Hagerith. I said his last name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's a young corner who's got to improve this year. They got Brent Grimes, who's also underperforming. So I think this Buccaneers secondary going up against guys like Odell, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, they're going to get shredded again.
Yeah, well, that might not matter because my question is, can the Giants protect Eli, with their offensive line, which is just awful, and they were awful again last week against the Eagles. I mean, can they do it? I don't know. I don't think so. And against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that has some really good pass rushers. I mean, Gerald McCoy is a freaking monster here. I mean, Noah Spence looks like a young guy that can potentially be very good for them. I just don't trust this offensive line for the Giants at all. And that might negate the fact that, their secondary in the Buccaneers might be a little bit of a weak spot. I'm actually very high in this Buccaneers secondary, though. I like Vernon Hargreaves as a talent. I like Brent Grimes. TJ Ward's another guy that I like. So I think they'll figure it out eventually. I think some of it might be they just had to get used to playing together. Another thing for me is, can this Giants defense create enough pressure on Jameis Winston to kind of force him into some turnovers? We know Jameis Winston is prone to turn over the ball quite a bit, and he did that a little bit against the Vikings last week.
Yeah, this Giants defense has really underperformed to their standards set last year. I think the Giants will try to get back on track. They desperately need a win, sitting at 0-3. They're going to be playing in Florida. It's going to be really hot. And I just got to say, why does it feel like every time we talk about the Giants, we just talk about how bad their offensive line is, and they still do nothing to change it?
No.
I mean, come on, New York. Open your eyes. You got a Super Bowl-ready team with just one terrible position group holding you back. You need to help out the Giants fans, get some needed upgraded positions for the offensive line. But with that said, I'm going to have to go with New York. They're 0-3 in a tough NFC East. This is a must-win for them.
Yeah, it's hard going against a desperate team like the Giants, who many people thought, including us, that they would be a playoff team this year. But I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I think they're still a team on the rise, and I love Jameis Winston at home. And, like you said, it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. It's going to be muggy. The Giants aren't going to want to play there. The Bucs are used to this. I think the Bucs are going to win this one at home.
Yeah, moving on to the next matchup, we got the Oakland Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. Andrew, what do you see for this matchup?
Well, I mean, both of these teams are coming off very bad weeks in week 3, so it can really only go for them, especially the Raiders here. I mean, they just had an awful week against the Redskins. I'm looking forward to see if they can bounce back in this one.
Yeah, one thing I'm looking out for is how the Raiders secondary hold up. Kirk Cousins just shredded them like cheese last week, just completely killed it against them. And this has been one of the worst position groups on the Raiders team that they're going up against Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas. Now, I'm going to be looking as can they hold up their own against them. For me, I'm going to have to go with the home team. I got the Broncos in this game.
Yeah, for me, I just like Derek Carr too much as a quarterback. I feel like he's going to put that bad week behind him. He's going to lead an upset here at Denver. I think the Raiders are going to win this one. But moving on, let's go to Colts Seattle. This might be a pretty easy one for both of us, I think.
Yeah, no luck, no chance.
Nope.
That man's not playing. They're not going into Seattle and going to beat Seattle without him. For Seattle, though, one thing I'm looking for is what is wrong with the Seattle right now, both offensively and defensively. They have just really underperformed, and they're not looking like the team that made the playoffs last year and won this division.
Yeah, for me, it kind of starts with their offensive line for Seattle. They haven't really addressed that for years here, and Russell Wilson is just he's had to really have to deal with that, getting hit a lot, having been pressured a lot. It's put a toll on their offense overall, but luckily for them, they're going up against a Colts defense that just isn't good in any capacity, really. I mean, they had a pretty solid week against the Browns, which, I mean, they're the Browns, so, I mean, there's that. But against Seattle, I don't see that happening. At Seattle, for me, I mean, got to go with the Seahawks here.
Yeah, it's in Seattle. Seattle's winning this game. Moving on to the Monday night matchup, we got the Redskins versus the Chiefs. What are a few things you're going to be looking forward in this game?
Well, for me, is can Kareem Hunt continue his rookie success? I mean, this guy has just been on fire to start this season. He looks like an early runaway Rookie of the Year candidate, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, he looks like the real deal for me.
Yeah, he's been killing it so far. One thing I'm going to be looking out for is can that Redskins defense replicate last week's success? Now, they're going up against the Chiefs that have been one of the best offenses in the league so far. And it's really been unconventional ways. Andy Reid, he finds new ways to do it every week, and they got a really good running game. So, for me, I'll be watching the trenches. The Redskins, they have a really good defensive line, and the Chiefs have a great offensive line.
Yeah, for me, I have to go with the Chiefs on this one because, like you said, Andy Reid, he just finds ways to get this offense to produce. I mean, I don't even think Tyreek Hill is another guy who's so dynamic. I think he could have a big game in this one just because he's a matchup nightmare, and Andy Reid finds ways to give him the ball. And they're going to be so focused on shutting down Kareem Hunt in that running game. Watch out for Tyreek Hill that has a big game. And, Kirk Cousins has gotten better over this past few weeks so far in offense. But against this Chiefs defense, it's very good. I think they'll shut him down in this one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Chiefs. I like the way they play. I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs on this one. But, yeah, that's our Week 4 NFL preview. Now, this is just our thoughts on these matchups. So, please, let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's keep this discussion going. And, thank you guys so much for watching.
Yep, thanks for watching, guys. And, like we said, continue to post comments in the comment section below and just let us know what you think. NFL, man, it's exciting. I can't wait to see these games on Sunday.